All right. Chris Beard is a program builder. His work ethic, ability to generate support in a community, his continuity in his coaching career have helped him to win at every stop in that career. After learning under the legendary Bobby Knight and head coaching jobs at the junior college level, Division II level, Coach Beard has led 3 programs to an NCAA tournament victory as a Division I head coach. Most notably, Texas Tech's first ever national championship game appearance in 2019. That also earned him the AP National Coach of the Year recognition. Chris is the proud father of 3 daughters. So Avery graduated with honors from Columbia University in New York and plans to attend law school. Ella is a senior in the Honors College at the University of Texas, plans to attend medical school. Margot is a senior in high school. Like her 2 older sisters, she's an honors student. And her father and the Southeastern Conference Commissioner have just struck an agreement with the hope that she will pick an SEC campus on which to spend her college years. University of Mississippi head men's basketball coach, Chris Beard.
Any questions?
All right, raise your hand if you have a question for Coach, and we'll get a remote mic to you. Please remember to identify yourself and your outlet. Let's start right on the front row.
Is this going to be about something about Arkansas?
Possibly, yeah.
I told you last year, loved my year at Little Rock, special team. Had a couple players on that team that were good enough to play in the SEC. I love the food in downtown Little Rock, a great family and friends there. We're really interested in answering a question today about anything Ole Miss or SEC basketball.
Well, if you'll indulge me, you and Porter are both UALR alums, I would say, and Porter talked about it. He talked about you guys doing a clinic in Hot Springs together a couple years ago. I just wonder what you think about 2 ex-UALR coaches coaching big-time programs in the SEC, and maybe how being at UALR, I know just there 1 year, but it was obviously an incredible year, how that's maybe helped you get to where you are now.
Yeah, Porter's a friend. Coaches use that word pretty loosely, friend. But I think with Porter and I, it's a little bit different. A lot of respect for Porter, his journey along the way. We competed against each other in the Big 12 for a brief time, both as head coaches, and welcome him and Rodney to the league. I think Oklahoma and Texas will both be great additions to SEC basketball, which, in my opinion, is the premier league. I know other leagues can make a case, but our league can make a case as well. Really competitive league. But my friendship with Porter and my time at Arkansas Little Rock is really important to me.
Okay, let's go to the far right in the back.
Myron Metcalf, ESPN. Chris, what have you seen from Dre Davis so far?
Myron, what do you think about it? Do you button the jacket when you're like this or unbutton it? Unbutton. Oh, yeah, okay. Thank you. Good to see you. What was the question again? ADD? Yeah. This is our second Ole Miss team. We're excited, a lot of internal optimism. It's based on one thing at the top of the list. We got good players. You mentioned Dre Davis. We got 6 players coming in from the portal. All 6 are really talented. They have undeniable bodies of work as individual players, stat line, minutes, wins. Several played in the NCAA tournament. With Dre specifically, the first thing that really attracted me to Dre, speaking from my point of view, is very, very competitive. Every coach that we talked to in the recruiting process, not only his college coaches, but going back to guys that coached him when he was younger, the first thing was always competitive. Skilled player. What he got done in the Big East was real. Winning the NIT championship was real. The teams that they had to beat that time of year to get to the championship game. So we think Dre has a chance to be one of the best players in the SEC. I understand what a strong statement that is, but he's a guy that can play a lot of positions, can guard a lot of different people. He's competitive. He's tough. My argument would be that he'll be talked a lot about this year in the SEC because he'll be one of the best players in our league.
Raise your hand if you have a question. Let's go to the middle right here, and then we'll go to the way back on the left next.
Hey, Coach. Brad Harvey from College Sportscast. I wanted to ask you about Matthew Morrell. He is all SEC second team last year, and he's back for you this year. How can he continue to grow, and what do you expect from him in this season coming up?
Yeah, we're really glad to have Matt Morrell back for what will be his last year at college basketball. I've said this before, not to repeat myself, but Matt's one of the best players I've ever coached in college. We benefited from his time with Kermit Davis, who did a great job at Ole Miss and laid us a foundation. Matt's a good basketball player. He plays on both ends of the floor. I think his recognition being an all-SEC player is real. It's deserving. I think if our team would have won some more games, he'd have been a first-team all-conference player. I think he's one of the handful of top 5 or 6 players in this league, in my opinion. We're going to expect a lot from Matt this year. What he has to do, I think, to help us is to basically have his best season he's ever had with consistency. For many years, he's proven that he can get a lot done in an SEC game. I think the challenge for Matt is, can we have his best every single night, or can we have his best at a higher rate than we had it in the past? So consistency is the deal with Matt. We're blessed to have him back. I think our league benefits too with Matt coming back. He did a really good job in last year's pre-draft in the NBA. He had a real decision to make, kind of the 99th hour, and so for him to come back to Ole Miss, it obviously makes us better, but I think it makes our league better as well.
Okay, question in the, I think about the 5th row on the left. Go ahead.
Hey, Chris. Jared Reddick inside the Rebels on 24/7 Sports. Over the last decade, aside from the success that you've had, you've shown drastic improvement win-wise from the first year to the second year, whether it be Angelo State, Texas Tech, and then at Texas. I guess what was the common denominator in all 3 of those, just from one year to the next? And in what ways do you feel like this group so far, working with them, is kind of ahead of the curve in that regard?
Yeah, I think we have had some success in year 2. I think above all, simple, easy answer to that question, players. That's what's happened. We've had really good players the second year. Some of those we've been able to develop, guys that we had the first year and are able to get back. This year's Ole Miss team, we have 3 kind of groups of players. One's the returners, 6 players that were on the team last year. 3 were in major minute rotation, 4 played. So I think when we start thinking about second year success, the first thing is the players. We've been really benefiting, whether it be at Angelo or Texas Tech or Texas or now Ole Miss. The chance to coach guys for the second year is real. I think another thing, there's no denying the first year is a lot about, you hear this all the time, it's like cliche, but you're building your culture. A lot goes into that. And I've always thought by the time you get to second year, you can start defending it. And there's a difference between building and defending. So we have had some success in year 2. We have very high expectations this year in Oxford. We believe we have the players, the talent on the roster, the fan base, the leadership with our chancellor and AD. So we have a lot of good things going on our way, and we're really excited about getting the season started here in a few weeks.
All right, let's go to the 3rd row on the left.
Chris Neil Blackman, Saturday Down South. You guys, well, wherever you've been prior to Ole Miss, your teams have been really physical, been able to guard, defend at a high level. Obviously struggled a little bit with that last year. Do you feel like this is going to be a more physical group, whether it's a guy like Malik who can move and kind of play positionless, or Brakefield being back? You feel better about your defensive side of the ball?
Yes, and I do think one of the parts of our defensive identity will be physical toughness, kind of grit, experience. We're one of the oldest, if not the oldest team in college basketball. We have 10 seniors on this roster. We've got guys, I think SID does a great job with us at Ole Miss. He was showing me some things, right under 1,000 minutes played, multiple 1,000-point scores. Combine our three-point percentages with our new players, a lot of exciting things kind of on paper. But there's no denying that we just have a kind of a physical toughness, kind of an experience that I think needs to be one of the parts of our defensive identity. What we might lack in the typical kind of long, athletic college basketball player that we all benefit. We certainly have a young player, John Bowl, in our program that fits that NBA mold in terms of his body type. We have a lot of college players, man, that have a chance to be really good pros because of their strength and experience. So defensively, that will be a part of our DNA if we execute like we all want to.
Other questions, please raise your hand. All right, let's come back to the front row in the middle.
Yeah, Chris, I know you guys were ranked at times last year, and you're in the preseason poll. honestly can't remember the last time they happened to Ole Miss. It probably maybe happened on Rob Evans or somebody. But I know it's preseason poll and all that, but how big a deal is that for when you're trying to build up your program? And just what do you think about 9 SEC basketball teams being ranked? I think that's more than the football teams are ranked in preseason. And just what do you think about the league as a whole, and how many bids you guys can realistically expect?
Yeah, I think the first part of that question, I've only been at Ole Miss 2 years, and so for us to be nationally ranked going into the season, that's one of the objectives. I mean, you know, to win 6 games in 3 weekends and to be a team that can compete for a national championship, which is what our goal is, period. You know, it helps to be one of those top 25 or 30 teams before the season starts. It can be done the other way. We did that with our Elite 8 team at Texas Tech. I thought we were good enough that year to win the championship, and I don't believe that team was pre-ranked in the preseason. So proud of that. We don't spend any time talking with our players about the rankings, but I think to be recognized, I think it's good for our fan base. I think our coaches have done a really good job recruiting. In today's world, if you can get kind of a ranking, really it's respect for your players more than anything. It's the people that make the votes looking at where players play, because you're not really looking at this team was really good last year. A few exceptions on that because everybody has new players. So I think it's a positive remark towards the talent we have on our roster. So I give our staff a lot of credit in the recruiting on that. What was the second part of that question?
Just the SEC having 9 teams.
Yeah.
Just what that says, and I can't remember what other coach say thinks you guys deserve, maybe 12 bids or something.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, to me, it's pretty easy to figure out 9, but then I'm looking at 10, 11, 12, and they should be in there too. So, look, I think the SEC, I was so impressed year one. I mean, you got championship coaches, Hall of Fame guys that will be in the Hall of Fame. You've got really good players. Obviously, the NBA draft picks, more SEC players on opening date. We know the stats. Then you've got a lot of really, really good college basketball players that might not play in the NBA one day, but they're going to feed their families for many years. Some of the best players in college basketball. I think your home venues, we didn't go anywhere last year that I thought it was going to be an easy night for us to play, and I was looking for one. Great fan bases, great environments. I think the league is real. And so when you start talking about the best basketball conference, I do believe it's the SEC. Other conferences can make their case, but I know this. There's not a conference that's any better than the SEC in men's basketball, period. So to see the rankings, the NCAA bids in reality last year, it's real. And we benefit from that at Ole Miss. One of the great things about coaching at Ole Miss, yes, we have the best college town in the country, Oxford. Yes, we have great administration. Yes, we have great academics. All that stuff's real. But we also get to play in the SEC. And this league is as good as advertised. It's where the top recruits want to play. And so we certainly benefit from being in the Southeastern Conference.
Other questions for Coach? Please raise your hand. Any others?
It wasn't bad for the SEC, was it? Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Last call. All right, let's take it on the far back on the right.
Myron Metcalf again, ESPN. Chris, what's been more difficult to navigate, transfer portal or NIL?
For me personally, you asked me the question, probably the name and your likeness. And not difficult in terms of not being supportive of it. I love it. I mean, period. I was on the record long ago. Players should benefit from this sport that does so many for so many people. But I think just because the rules are coming at you hot and heavy, it's like the Wild Wild West. Things change by the hour, not by the day. That's been a challenge. I think with the transfer portal, just my experience in basketball, which I'm proud of, in junior college, we had the transfer portal. And in Division II, we had the transfer portal. And so we've always kind of benefited from the ability to change your team from year to year based on your needs. But I could see where that could be a challenge for somebody that doesn't have the experience that we've had over the years. Was Buzz Williams before me? Oh, okay. So there's like always Buzz does the cough drops. There's a bunch of them up here.
Yeah.
Was this Buzz?
That was him. Okay, we'll take one more question. Let's go to the back on the left. Last question.
Did he leave those?
No. He just took them.
Chris, I know over the course of the offseason you've talked about your non-conference schedule and just what you want to accomplish out of that. Obviously this one looking pretty tough on the surface, but right away when you took this job, it seemed like you you kept the regionality aspect of it, where there's pockets of Ole Miss alumni, whether it be South Haven, near Memphis, or Biloxi, and all that. At what point, when this job happened, did this kind of conversation come about, and how important is that to you, when factoring in everything else with the non-conference schedule?
Yeah, I think every coach has a different philosophy on scheduling based on the job you're at. At Ole Miss, there's a lot of things we're trying to get done. And this year, our second-year schedule is upgraded. We're heading in the right direction. We'll play in one of the best MTEs in college basketball, BYU, Purdue, and NC State. 3 NCAA tournament teams. 2 of those teams were in the Final Four last year. Road game opportunity at Louisville is a great opportunity for our team. Road games like at Memphis, real game. Part of the responsibility, I think, when you coach at the University of Mississippi is to take your brand and your team to other parts of the state. We have a lot of great fans, alumni, donors. So for this year to play in South Haven near Memphis against Colorado State, a team that's been in 2 of the last 3 NCAA tournaments, and then to go back down to the coast and play Biloxi and Southern Miss. That game's right for basketball in Mississippi. And I do think that's one of the responsibilities that the head coach of Ole Miss should think about from time to time. What is good for the game of basketball in the state of Mississippi? So I'm happy for our fans. We've upgraded the schedule. We've got some exciting games. We've got some home games. We've got some neutral site games. But yeah, I think this year's schedule is going to give us an opportunity to do some things in the non-conference. I told the guys just yesterday in our meeting, the schedule is going to give you opportunity. And as a player, that's all you can really ask for. And as a coach, same thing.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.